Bentwaters Parks as a company has actually been running since 2001, initially as a company with commercial property. We purchased the airfield also and got quite involved with aggregate sales. Because of those two types of business, we have got a great team on board. We have people who can drive all the machinery. We've got diggers, we've got loading shovels, we've got lorries. So that was one of the things that made me particularly interested in branching out into the wood fuel business. Also, geographically, we're very well placed between two very large areas of Forestry Commission. So that sort of said to me that we should be able to get hold of some nice straight timber very locally. We're very conscious of the fact that we don't want to be bringing stuff in too far. We want to keep the green miles down. Hence, we also don't deliver too far out of the county. We like the idea of keeping it as a local business. So a combination of the assets of the airfield. We've got a very windy site with a lot of concrete, which works perfectly for drying the timber. We've got plant and machinery, which works very well, and we've got a very knowledgeable staff. My job at Bentwaters Parks is as a director of the company, and Eastern Woodfuels is a part of that company. My job is to oversee the whole project from start to finish, which has taken a good sort of 5 years up to now. I don't have quite so much to do with the everyday ordering as the other ladies in the office do, but I'm definitely overseeing the chipping, the storage of the chip, and any of the new projects that come along. My average day is spent worrying actually about our stocks more than anything else. I'm always going and having a little look in the hangar to make sure that we've got enough to furnish our deliveries. I don't really get too much involvement in the delivery other than the vehicle, the wood fuel vehicle. We're in the process of ordering a new one. She'll be here towards the end of the year, ready for the new heating season. We're very excited about that. It's going to be running on a nice Euro 5 engine and a lot cleaner to run than the old vehicle that we have at the moment. I was initially very lucky to be born on farm, and we had very close ties with the forestry business, being situated between Rendlesham and Tunstall Forest. We've also got some ancient woodland on the farm. So as a family business, when the idea of doing something with timber came up, then we were very, very keen. I had some business experience already, and we're lucky to have quite a lot of plant and manpower on site who are quite experienced in that business. So it was just a quite an easy step really to take on from what we're doing now to branch out into the timber industry. Also, as a company, it's always been an interesting thing for us to try and do an environmental business, and that was definitely the first one that came along. We're interested in all sorts of renewable fuels, and the wood fuel business is what's really got us started. We're very lucky here at Eastern Woodfuels to have a great team as part of the biofuel industry. Greg in particular, who's our current delivery driver, started off his working life working for a local timber merchant. So his experience dealing with timber came in very useful when we got into this part of the business several years ago. He's also taken his Class 1 HGV licence. He's an incredibly practical person, and I think that's probably the most important thing in this business. There's a lot of theory around, but it really revolves around practicalities, especially where the harvesting, the storing, and especially the delivery. We do come across lots of glitches really with all of our deliveries, and he just takes it all in his stride, and he's never missed a delivery, always made it, always worked out a very inventive way of getting the product into the client's storage hopper. One of the best things I think for Bentwaters Parks and Eastern Woodfuels being involved in the biomass industry is we have quite a quiet period over the winter time when staff and machinery aren't doing quite as much. So that really fills the gap for us, because we do start delivering from October right the way through till Easter. It works really well for us because that plant and machinery and those people, if it was a standalone business, they wouldn't be doing a whole lot during the summer either. So it fills our wintertime slot very, very nicely and keeps us very busy. We don't really have any sort of worse things about the business at all. I think any business has what I call challenging situations, especially a new business like the wood fuel. We've all learnt pretty much from getting out there and just going and doing it. We sometimes struggle with our deliveries in that Sarah and I, or perhaps Greg, will often go and visit a new client if we can. That isn't always possible when everyone's very, very busy. So we have had situations when we've turned up there, or Greg's turned up there with the vehicle, and has no access to be able to get to the storage hopper, and he's come up with all sorts of inventive things of cutting holes in hedges, and he has actually had to make a few changes of driveways and things like that. But it's all little stuff, and it's just one of those everyday things that happens in any business. The future of wood fuel, I think, is very exciting. We would love to be able to install wood fuel boilers for our tenants in their buildings as a commercial property. One, it would be a great environmental statement for the company, for one, and obviously as a supplier that works well too. But for the tenants coming in, most companies nowadays do have to have an environmental statement, and if they can have a biomass heating system, they can have photovoltaic panels. There's all sorts of things that companies can now do on the commercial market to increase their green credentials. One of the things I think that's come out through some of the various challenges that we've had with this new business is it would be fabulous if the suppliers, such as ourselves, could be more involved during the planning stage of the projects. Very, very basic things, for example, access for a vehicle, turning circles, how the product is going to get from the vehicle into the hopper. They're all very, very simple, but often the project has been completed before we're asked to deliver, and then those things are very difficult to fit retrospectively, whereas it would have been probably just as cheap to have done it right in the first place. So we would always encourage any potential customers to always just give us a call, or we'll come out and have a look at the site and just give them some advice from a very practical point of view. I'd especially like to encourage women or girls of a certain age to get into a business like this, because women are incredibly practical. We're very good at doing 10 things at the same time, and although I'm not driving the vehicle, I know plenty of girls who do drive vehicles, and it's got such a scope for just opening up a business opportunity for you. There are an awful lot of foresters who are women as well, and if you're practical, and I like to think of myself as a fairly practical woman, people skills obviously is something I think that's probably the most important in any part of a business, and you can be doing anything from the admin side out to the direct forestry staff operating machinery. So there's so much scope for boys and girls to get into the wood fuel business.